Okay, let's unpack this one. It's quite something.
Yeah, definitely.
Imagine two names you hear constantly, right? Figures you kind of assume are playing for the same team, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm. Big names.
And then boom, suddenly they're in this very public, very political, well, spat.
The source analysis even used the term bro fight, which seems surprisingly apt here.
It does, and honestly, some parts of it are just bizarre. So today, we're doing a deep dive into that recent, pretty unexpected clash between Donald Trump and Elon Musk.
And it wasn't a behind-the-scenes thing, was it? It blew up publicly.
Right, specifically over a major Republican spending bill, a key piece of legislation.
And for this dive, we're relying on excerpts from an MSNBC transcript analysis, right? That's our source material.
Exactly, that's what we've got to work with.
Okay, so our mission, essentially, is to pull out the key details from this analysis. Try to understand the motivations the source speculates on, you know?
And find those surprising insights, because there definitely seem to be some.
Yeah, and I think we should also lean into what the analysis itself pointed out, the inherent humor and absurdity that happens when these huge figures clash so openly.
Totally, it has that almost surreal quality sometimes. Okay, so where do we begin? The analysis kind of sets the scene first, doesn't it?
It does. It reminds us about the relationship before the blow-up, this Trump-Musk alliance.
Right, and the terms used to describe Musk in that context are pretty telling. Things like Trump's biggest donor.
Mm-hmm. And a recent employee, even. An ally.
The source calls it an unusual, seemingly transactional alliance, which, when you think about it, a reality show president and the world's richest man
It's not your standard political pairing, is it? It already feels a bit different.
definitely sets a unique stage.
So that's the baseline the analysis gives us, this established, if unusual, alliance.
But then the big twist.
Exactly. Musk, this supposed ally, suddenly flips, becomes an ally turned foe, as the source puts it.
And not just on some minor point, it's over Trump's key biggest piece of legislation. That's significant.
The shift sounds really abrupt in the analysis.
Yeah.
Very forceful.
And his attack on the bill, wow. He wasn't subtle. The analysis gives us the direct quotes.
Oh yeah, no mincing words there. He called the bill a disgusting abomination.
Strong stuff.
And went on, called it massive, outrageous, pork-filled, just laying into it.
But the part aimed at the politicians.
That was something else. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it.
Intense. And the analysis had that great description of him.
Oh yeah, ever imperious, chewing everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
Paints quite a picture, doesn't it? You really get the tone.
You really do. Now, the analysis points out something crucial and frames it with a bit of dark humor, I think.
The timing.
The timing. It says this huge public attack came right after their supposedly warm goodbye party exit interview.
Right, and they clarify it wasn't like actual cake and balloons.
No, but it's that idea, right? We've all seen those polite professional farewells. You say nice things, wish them well.
Uh-huh. Standard stuff.
But this, as the analysis dryly puts it, was a little different.
Just a bit. The contrast is just stark. A warmish goodbye, then bam, public takedown.
It's almost like something scripted, but it's real politics. The analysis really picked up on that dramatic irony.
And the analysis tries to figure out the why, not just the what. It digs into the speculated motivations.
Is it just about the bill itself, like genuine policy disagreement?
That's one possibility the source mentions, but it also floats other ideas. Maybe clear anger at how he was treated in Washington, something more personal.
That treatment angle is interesting. The analysis wonders if it's a way to, quote, get back at Donald Trump.
Yeah, framing it as this bromance turned a bro off, and we're all watching the messy fallout.
Which, let's be honest, can feel a bit much.
Well, the analysis acknowledges that perception. It notes some might see it as too petty to reality show, too much billionaires tweeting into the night.
Which perfectly captures that slightly unreal, almost comical vibe of this whole thing playing out between these two specific people.
It feels like high drama, maybe even low drama, but with potentially huge political consequences.
And the analysis shows those consequences were immediate. The political reaction was fast.
Yeah, Republican leaders, the Senate leader, the speaker are mentioned. They felt they have to respond.
You kind of have to, right? When someone that big who is just on your side suddenly torches your main project.
Absolutely. And the analysis described the attempts at damage control. Some Republicans tried the, what did the source call it?
The good cop thing.
That's it, the good cop thing. And like, hey, Elon, buddy, just Just read the bill again, get familiar. Maybe you'll change your mind.
And the analysis just skewers that approach.
Totally, with that perfect deadpan observation.
Hmm.
That's not how this works. That's not how this works.
It really highlights the...
What was the quote? We fire all politicians who betrayed the American people.
Oof, that's direct.
And the analysis adds that crucial piece of context. His money. He can actually fund efforts to try and make that happen.
Right. It's not just talk. It elevates it from just angry tweeting to a potential real political headache for those Republicans. Adds real stakes.
Definitely. Now, the analysis also gives some history, suggesting this blow-up wasn't totally out of the blue. There were underlying tensions.
Ah, like that New Yorker cover.
Yeah, exactly. The one with Musk getting sworn in, kind of pushing Trump out of the frame.
I remember that. A very striking image.
The analysis called it a comic, an exaggeration, sure, but said it spoke to the tension between these two digitized billionaire egos.
Captures that feeling of two massive personalities potentially competing even when they're supposed allies. A bit of foreshadowing, maybe?
Could be. And speaking of early days, the analysis brought up that joint interview they did.
Oh, right. Where Trump was supposedly convinced to do it.
And the key point the analysis made was why. It made Elon Musk look very powerful.
Yeah.
Trump essentially platformed him, boosted his political image.
Okay, but then the analysis dropped something else about that interview. Something pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, it noted they tried to play nice, obviously.
Yeah.
The standard interview stuff, but
Then it says, and they also committed on air to things that proved to be lies.
big claim, lies. What specifically?
Well, the analysis calls out one major thing. Like, they said they would avoid conflicts of interest.
Okay, avoid conflicts of interest.
On air, and the report adds, we have the video, they have the tape of them saying it.
So what happened next?
This is the punchline from the analysis. And then they later hawked Teslas on the White House lawn.
Wait. They said no conflicts of interest and then used the White House lawn to promote Teslas.
That's precisely the contrast the analysis highlights, the gap between the promise and the action. It's presented as almost comically blatant.
Wow. That really speaks volumes about that transactional alliance idea, doesn't it?
It really does. It paints a picture of convenience over principle, maybe. As interpreted by the analysis, anyway.
So, building on that shaky foundation, the analysis looks at why things might have fully broken down now.
It mentions reporting that Trump clearly moved to demote and limit Musk's power, apparently after clashes with other officials.
Yeah, other cabinet officials.
Yeah.
And it gives details about Musk's style when he was more involved. How he apparently dominated cabinet meetings unlike any other president.
Dominated them. How?
The analysis says he brought his own decor, his own fashion, his own attitude. He wasn't just sitting quietly.
Definitely making his presence felt.
For sure. But the analysis points out ultimately he didn't last in that kind of insider position.
Okay, and this leads to some really interesting speculation in the analysis about Musk's current intensity, his ferocity.
Right. The report floats the idea that maybe Trump actually fired him from that role.
Fired him, and Musk apparently didn't want to go.
That's the key detail the analysis includes. Musk wanted to stay. He loved it there.
Huh. So the thinking is...
The analysis speculates that maybe Musk's super strong reaction now, the public attack, could be partly fueled by that experience, by not having been fired in a long time.
So less about policy, more about ego. Or rejection from that inner circle he enjoyed.
It's a psychological angle, this source suggests, yeah. A possible explanation for why the attack was so fierce, beyond just the bill itself. It's speculative, but compelling.
And just to add another layer, the analysis mentions how Trump reportedly saw Musk.
Ah, yes, that description. What was it?
Trump apparently viewed him as a sometime brilliant man-child, half genius, half boy.
Half genius, half boy. Wow. That phrasing alone, reported by the analysis, tells you a lot about the potential dynamic, right?
Absolutely. It's not exactly a description built on mutual respect. Hints at that volatility, that underlying tension.
But it reinforces the idea that this was maybe always a fragile, complex relationship based more on what each could get from the other.
And finally, how are others in politics seeing this whole messy affair, according to the analysis?
Well, it notes that many in the Republican Party see this whole thing, this public bro fight, as basically classic Trump, meaning an example of his great ability to blow a lead, to incompetently bring in all of these extra problems. Like, why create this fight? Why alienate this guy?
A self-inflicted wound, in their view, creating unnecessary drama.
Exactly. And the analysis wraps it up with that slightly funny relationship analogy.
Oh, yeah.
It compares the alliance to a new relationship, saying they're now in the breakup period.
Okay, makes sense.
But here's the kicker from the analysis. That's still supposed to be the honeymoon.
Right. The timing is all wrong. This huge, messy split is happening when things should still be good.
It just adds to that overall picture. The analysis paints political chaos, maybe incompetence, and definitely a dose of absurdity.
So, okay, let's zoom out. We've walked through the analysis, the weird alliance, the sudden turn, the fiery quotes, the bizarre timing, the Tesla hawking incident, the fired speculation, the man-child view, the breakup during the honeymoon. What does this whole saga, this high-profile bro fight as detailed by the source, really tell us about how power, wealth, and personality mix in politics today? Why should you, listening, even care about billionaire spats?
Well, think about how the analysis described that alliance right at the start. Unusual, transactional. What does it say when relationships built seemingly just on mutual benefit, not deep ideology or trust, fall apart so spectacularly and publicly? How fragile are those kinds of political arrangements?
That's a good point. And building on that speculation from the analysis about Musk potentially being fired or pushed out and his maybe ferocious reaction being tied to that, what does that scenario, as presented, suggest to you about how even extremely powerful people react when their access or their influence gets checked, when they lose that insider status they perhaps enjoyed? It's definitely something to think about as these power plays unfold right in front of us.